So welcome to All Access Coaches Corner with Rising Coaches. Definitely got a special guest today. Excited about him sharing his story and sharing some basketball nuggets with us. We're going to have a couple people help to introduce him because he's just that good. I got to have some help. Can't do it on my own. But want to definitely direct everybody to risingcoaches.com. If you haven't been, www.risingcoaches.com. A lot of great benefits, very inexpensive, just $10 a month, but well worth it to invest in your career for networking, for professional development, for Zoom access to things like this, and then just a network of coaches and a big coaching tree that can, help you to either advance, rise, or just to be able to connect to other coaches. So, yeah, definitely a great tool, great asset. We want to give them their love, appreciate them for allowing this platform. And then I'm going to pass it over to Wes first. He didn't know he was going to have to be on the spot, but you're on the spot. And then I'm going to pass to EP, and then we'll go straight to our guest.
Yeah, I definitely didn't know that.
And when you're a head coach, you always got to be prepared. So I knew you were ready.
Yeah, one of the best guys I think in the business, man. A guy that has really came up, has been at all levels, been successful. And I think the biggest thing about Akeem is he's won everywhere he's been. I think that's a big testament to him and the job that he does. Really worked his way up. Somebody that I continue to learn from, and even though we're the same age, I consider him a mentor as well. So I'm excited to hear from him today. I know he's gonna bless us with something.
No doubt. Appreciate that. I'll go last. EP, I'll let you go next.
All right, I'll take this. Trying to grow this beard in, so.
Yeah, let's go. The quarantine flow. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, so, when I saw Akeem was getting on here, I definitely had to jump on, and I was lucky enough to work with Akeem. For anybody that doesn't know, Eric Pastrana, I'm an assistant coach at Oklahoma State. Been in quite a few places, and Akeem's one of the best guys I've worked with. And when I say best guy, I don't mean, just a nice guy. I mean, obviously he's a great person, great family man, unbelievable worker, great relationships with our guys on the court and off the court. And, I've got a JUCO background, and I think me and him connected really quickly when I took the job at FAU. We were both hired together last year, and we spent 1 year together before I came to Oklahoma State. And I think we connected in a major way just because we had kind of similar upbringings. We kind of worked our way up. I got the JUCO background, and Keem, he'll share his story, but he's really worked his way up. So we got a ton of respect for each other, and especially his work ethic. And, only spent a year working with him, but I consider him a real close friend. And we stay in touch, and he does a hell of a job. So I had to jump on here and listen to him.
Yeah, appreciate that, EP. I was unfortunate to coach against EP when I was at Lamar, and he was at Stephen F. Austin with Underwood, and I think they lost one game in the league in 3 years, something like that, crazy. So yeah, anyway, I know EP well. Glad to have you on. Glad to have everybody on. I've been blessed to get much closer to Coach, our special guest today, through a group that actually doesn't talk anything about basketball, really, and I got to know the man that he is, the character he is, and we've talked a lot about our careers and kind of navigating in different things, but I can't speak enough of the volume of just the man that he is first. And then I was able to coach against him when I was at UTEP. Know Coach May well, and EP, and didn't know Coach as well then, but know the impact that he's made on his program, and just was recently selected as one of the top Connect best coaches in the country to be invited to interview and kind of prepare for his seat to being a head coach. So I'll let him talk more about that. But one big reason I wanted to have him on, because he's not a person that looks for attention. He's not looking for notoriety. He's not looking for hype. He's just a guy that gets it done high quality and gets it done on the floor. So I wanted him to be able to talk basketball and not just talk about how good of, quote unquote, he's a recruiter he is, but just an all-around basketball coach. So again, I'm super biased, but I get to be biased because I'm the host. So excited to have him on. And introduce yourself, Coach. We know you're at FAU, and then tell us a little bit about your family, and tell us a funny story about something that's happened during this pandemic time period.
Man, I appreciate you having me on this platform, Brian. I mean, obviously it's to help a lot of coaches and, to help myself with everything I'm doing. And, public speaking, everything. Man, I really appreciate this platform. I appreciate the words, Wes and E. Those are my guys. They're going to be my guys for a long time, man. Those are good people right there. But for me, when I'm doing this COVID, and I know you said tell something funny. I don't know if you've seen the show Good Times. Some of you guys have. I feel like I'm Bookman. My wife got me doing all kinds of stuff, man. I'm a plumber. I'm a maintenance man. I fix the garbage disposal. I fix the toilet. I YouTubed all this stuff. Didn't even think I could do it. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to pay for it. This is going to be one of those projects that I do. So right now, doing this COVID pandemic thing, you know, I'm Bookman. So just look at me in the house, Bookman. I might as well put on a jumpsuit.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Tell us a little bit. So I know you're a man of faith. I'm sure that probably will come up. We were in a men of faith group where we were able to get really close and learn each other even better from just competing against each other. But tell us about your family. Tell us a little bit about your faith and how that plays into your role as a coach, and then we'll kind of talk about your career.
Yeah, what's unique about my faith, my father, who passed away February 15th, he was a Muslim. My mom is Christian, but my mom, you know, took us to church, and that's how my faith grew through her, just learning from her and being in church all the time. I'm definitely a church boy. You see me on the sideline, I probably got church boy suits. But I got 4 brothers. I'm the youngest of 4 boys, 1 sister. And I'm married to Akeem Miskdeen, prior to Lashera Joyner. Met her at Hampton University. I got a 19-month-old daughter, Skylar Grace. She rules the household. Originally from Chicago, my family moved around throughout the Chicago area and the Chicago suburbs. Just, you know, the violence that's going on now. That's why we moved a lot. In particular, my 4 brothers, I mean, we moved, but they were creating a lot of the violence and the crazy activities. So we just moved around a lot throughout Chicago. We settled in the west suburban area. What I'll say about the west suburbs and even Chicago, you guys know that it's a lot of good basketball players in Chicago, in particular in Cook County. So I got to go to Michael Finley basketball camp, Corey Maggette basketball camp, all these great basketball players that I get to go to that camp and get to see. You know, I got to see Kevin Garnett, Ronnie Fields, Paul McPherson. I can go all the way down the line, man. It was a lot of great basketball players, and even the basketball players that were really older coming back, like Isaiah Thomas, Tim Hardaway. So I got to see that at early age.
Yeah, a lot of high level basketball always in Chicago, going back to before the Hoop Dreams movie. But I think most of us in this age have probably grown up seeing that movie and understanding the level of basketball that's played, and definitely can relate. I got my girl dad shirt on to represent all the girl dads I have 2 daughters, so they both run a household, and I'm definitely in last place after my wife. But yeah, so tell us a little bit about your playing background and just kind of how you ended up at FAU. Tell us a little bit about your career. We know you coached at an HBCU. We'll talk a little bit about that. That's where you met your wife as well. And, you know, there's kind of a movement right now that we'd love to talk about with HBCUs as well. So, yeah, just tell us a little bit about your journey playing, coaching, how you got to where you are.
Yeah, we talk about Hoop Dreams and Isaiah Thomas. Detroit Pistons, Isaiah Thomas for some of you youngins. But I played at St. Joseph High School for Gene Pingatore. So the movie Hoop Dreams is based off Gene Pingatore and 2 other guys from Chicago area. If you guys haven't seen it, man, it's a great movie. But I played 4 years there, played 3 years of varsity. What's crazy is I played my freshman year on a freshman team because Coach Pingatore didn't want me to play with those guys. He thought they were going to corrupt me. So I played my freshman year on a freshman team. And I got moved up to varsity the first playoff game and played 15 minutes, and we lost. And I started at point guard for Coach Pingatore for 3 years. Then from there, I played at Laramie County Community College, JUCO ball in Wyoming for Rodell Davis. Rodell Davis played at Iowa for Dr. Tom Davis, who's a magnificent coach, one of Iowa's best coaches. So I played 2 years at Laramie County Community College, had some success. Our first year, we were terrible, to be honest with you, and Coach Davis can attest to this. I wanted to leave. I mean, we won like 8 games. I'm in Cheyenne, Wyoming. I'm like, man, this is nuts. Then the next year we won 20-some games. And then from there, I had some low majors recruiting me. I was a pass first point guard. I think I led the country in assists either my freshman or sophomore year. In second in steals, I was a pass first point guard and defender. Low majors recruited me, but I always knew I wanted to coach from what Coach Pingator and some of the other youth coaches I had, what they gave to me. So I always wanted to do that. So I knew I wanted to go somewhere after Laramie where I was going to play and we were going to win. And I chose Queens University of Charlotte. You guys know it's a powerhouse right now, but it was a powerhouse before I got there. It was a powerhouse when I got there, and it's still a powerhouse. So I played 2 years there for Brian Good. We had success, won 20 games each year, went to the NCAA tournament each year. Then from there, that's when I was trying to figure out what should I coach, whether it be, high school, go back to St. Joe's, coach high school or coach college. And the biggest thing that I think I struggle with and a lot of guys struggle with that's not going to go play professionally is what happens after you finish playing, because you're so routine driven, you're in a bubble. And I struggle with that. Like after I finished playing, I didn't have a routine. I knew I wanted to coach. So I struggled with that so much so Brian Good had to talk to me like, dude, are you okay? But Wes Long, who's the assistant at Middle Tennessee State, he was my assistant at Queens University. He knew Kevin Nickelberry because he was a manager at Clemson when Nickelberry was an assistant. And he said, hey, Nickelberry wants a GA. He asked me, but I'm not leaving here. Do you want to do it? I said, heck yeah. So I was at home helping my godfather coach AAU team in Illinois. And I took the money I got for graduation, bought a like a 93 Bonneville, beat up Bonneville, and just drove that thing to Hampton. And I didn't know I was going to be a volunteer guy, but I ended up being a volunteer guy, slept on a couple coaches' couches until I got my own place. And I had to find a job as well. So I worked at Dominex in the Newport News shipyard from 8 to 2. Then from like 2:30 to whenever they needed me, 2:30 to midnight, sometimes 1 a.m., I went to Hampton and was like a volunteer ops guy. What really helped was my boss at the Dominex store, the sandwich shop that I was working at. He allowed me to miss days to go to games. He understood what I was trying to do. So I was fortunate in that aspect. So from there, I worked with Kevin Nickelberry, won 16 games. We're okay. Kevin Nickelberry resigns and Edward Joyner gets the job. Edward Buck Joyner, head coach of Hampton. He gets the job and that's my guy. Like he was mentoring me. And this is a good lesson for everybody. I already assumed that I was going to be assistant coach. I'm like, oh, that's my dude. I'm driving around, taking the recruiting. That's my guy. And Buck was like, Keem, I can't hire you. This is my first head coaching job. I have to hire people with experience. But I didn't let that, deter me. I just ended up getting another job for worked at Mount Olive College for Joy Higginbotham. And that's how me and Wes got tight because he was working at St. Andrews. Had a great year. It was one of the best years of my life. I mean, we won like 28 games, lost one game in conference. We're really good. Coached the best guard I ever coached in my life, Kendrick Easley. His father played for the Seawolves, played in the NFL. Kenny Easley is his father, but Kendrick was really good. He was really good. Work ethic was amazing. But that was one of the best years of my life. I was looking forward to another year. Then Brian Good, a couple years prior, got Wingate University, and Brian Good coached me at Queens University. So he hired me at Wingate. And once again, I'm living in a treehouse apartment above a garage. And I'm living my best life because I didn't make any money at Mount Olive. I mean, I didn't have insurance. I didn't make any money. So to go from Mount Olive to Wingate, I made going from making like 14 or 15 grand to 30. I was like, man, I'm rich. You can't tell me anything. So I worked at Wingate for a year and we had some success. We made the conference tournament championship. And it was really heartbreaking that we didn't get in the tournament. A lot of you guys don't know about Division II, but it's region based and you get 8 teams in that region. And we were basically the 9th team and it hurt, man. And it hurt. 2 weeks later, I'm in the gym with the guys, like, we got to make it next year. Then I get a call from Coach Joyner to come back to Hampton. So I really didn't want to go back to Hampton, to be honest with you guys. I wanted be a Division II coach. I played Division II. I'm working for Brian Good, who's my guy. I wanted to be a Division II coach. So my first thought was to turn Hampton down. But that's why you have mentors, and that's why you have people in your life to, I read a really good book, and it says seek wise counsel. And some of you guys know what that book is. But one thing that Coach Good told me is to go take that job. So he pushed me out and said, you got to go take it. Took it at Hampton for 5 years. Man, we made 3 consecutive postseasons, 2 NCAA tournaments. We had a lot of success. I helped recruit some really good Chicago guys. And we're talking about HBCUs, but Quentin Chivas left Tennessee to come to Hampton, and he had a really good career. Went to the NCAA tournament, was there for 5 years, was associate coach at 26 years old. So that was really a blessing. And then from there, for some reason, man, my spirit was tugging me saying, you're not going to be here this long. After we won, I interviewed for one job. And honestly, I didn't think that job was better than Hampton. And I wanted to hold off for something better. And Kent State was the job that I actually ended up getting after Hampton. And man, it was great to get that experience working in the MAC, working for Coach Senderoff. And I was fortunate enough to go to 2 NCAA tournaments at Hampton. Then my first year at Kent State, going to another tournament. Spent 2 years at Kent State. Then I got a call from one of my buddies. I was literally raking snow off my window. And he called me and asked me if I would be interested in FAU. I said I would. And now I'm here at FAU trying to help build this program up to the best of my abilities. Brian, you good?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I got disconnected for a second, but going back to the beginning of your story, I grew up in Michigan myself, so I grew up an Isaiah Thomas bad boy Pistons fan, so I definitely can relate to that. And have experienced every level similar to yourself. A lot to be said about those travels, not making money. People don't know about that side when they hear, oh, man, this guy was on Top Connect. He must be really good. It's like, but you don't know the path he had to pay to get there. And even to go from HBCU, not very many assistant coaches have been able to make that type of jump, especially from an HBCU to that level of a mid-major. So definitely love what your story is about, love what you're about. Tell us a little bit about the HBU experience. Tell us a little bit about what your thoughts are on kind of having a 5-star go to a HBCU. Tell us a little bit about how you were able to make that jump too from because other guys, sometimes HBCU is a level sometimes it's looked down upon. Let's just call it what it is. So from not only the recruit making that decision, but also for you to be able to not only embrace that role and help them win, but then being able to propel that to a mid-major job, if you don't mind.
The experience at Hampton was life-changing. I mean, I got my master's degree from Hampton too. I didn't mention that, but Buck encouraged me to get my master's degree. So you have one of my coaches, Division II coach, encouraged me to go to Hampton. Then Buck was like, man, you might as well get your master's degree while you're working here. So that experience is life-changing. To work for people that is like me, I mean, all around, that's all you see. Then not only to work for them, but to win too. That's life-changing. I learned so much there. Sometimes at the lower levels, you just get to do so much. When you leave the lower levels and you get to a higher level, you're like amazed, like, man, that's all I got to do is scouting, help this guy with academics and coach ball and recruit him. Man, it's less on your plate. When you're at the lower levels, you got to be really organized because there's more on your plate, and just learning how to do everything. Like Buck allowed me so much freedom to get better as a coach and to make mistakes as a coach. So I was very fortunate for that. And with the high major recruits going to HBCUs, man, it would be great. It would be great. But only thing I would say they're going to have to get some other players too to team up with them. I wouldn't want it to be like, you get a high major player there because they're still playing against grown men. They're playing against transfers. They're playing against these guys. If you don't have a good team, that high major recruit's not going to look so good. I mean, they're going to double team. The coaches at the HBCU levels are really good. I mean, some of my hardest scouting reports is Lavelle Moden and Rob Jones. They run a million plays. They're gonna trap the best player. They're gonna do a lot of things. So, like, if it happens, that's great for HBCUs, but they got to make sure that they're surrounded with other players. You don't want a player that's really good going to HBCU and trying to get shooting 30 shots, and they're going to look bad, and their stock is going to drop. So, HBCUs really have to make sure that they get other players. But my experience at HBCU is great. I think I got to experience at a homecoming one time, because homecoming is usually our biggest recruiting events. So if you haven't experienced the HBCU homecoming, you should experience it. It's one of the best things ever. But it was a great experience, a great time, and I cherish those years. We competed with West Pfeiffer at Central. Those guys were good. We competed with Norfolk State. I mean, the Norfolk State Hampton game is unreal. The Norfolk State, the Hampton Howard game is unreal. I mean, it's right up there when I was at Kent State, the Kent State Akron game, or the FAU FIU game is unreal.
I'm having a little bit of trouble on my side. I know AB3 had a little trouble last night. You must be passing it to me, man. It's going around right now, the Zoom. Yeah, sorry about that. So tell us a little bit about, obviously, social justice and social injustice is a big topic right now. Kind of switching gears to a little heavier of a topic. I know we've talked about it a little bit.
Hey, Brian, too, I would say, I know everybody wants to hear, like, oh, man, this guy got out of HBCU. I didn't answer that, so I do want to go back to that, and I'll definitely hit on the social. I would say the biggest thing is I'll put my head down. I worked really hard, and I befriended a lot of people. Now, do I do a great job at relationship building? Probably not, but I think people knew that I was genuine, I was a good dude, and I was going to work. And the other thing is I won. Like, you got to win, too, for people to notice you. One thing, Cindy, I asked Cindy, why did you hire me? I think I asked him a couple years ago. He said, one reason, you guys were winning, so you're doing something right. So you got to win to get notoriety. Like you said, I'm not a big promoter on social media. Heck, I know you guys Instagram me a couple of times and I didn't even post a story. So that's just not me, but that's just who I am. I'm going to work hard and I'm going to be nice to guys. Now, if I'm in the gym scouting, I'm probably not going to talk to everybody because I'm trying to stay focused on what I need to focus on. But afterwards, I probably would go to dinner with somebody to get to know them. But for me, it's just put my head down and working hard. And I think people notice when you work hard and when you win.
Yeah, and before you get to the social injustice, because there's a big misconception. There's a lot of different ways people move, but I think there's a misconception sometimes that when you're at events or when you're at a lower level, it's just you hear network. And some of your networking is just being successful where you are. And as you meet people, they see you as somebody who represents success. And they see you as somebody who on the road, yeah, you'll get a chance to meet a lot of people in a 12-hour gym day or 10-hour gym day for a full weekend. But at the same time, people are always watching. So some of the networking is just the people that the Wes Pfeiffers, the Eric Pastranas, the people that you know and you work with, and then what they say about you and how that goes. And then as you meet people, you just meet them, but you don't have to try to go over the top to be impressive, or you just be yourself and then let your work speak for itself. So I know you touched on it. Touch a little bit more on that before you go to the social injustice topic, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I just like you said, I just let my work speak for myself, man. And if you know somebody, I think you definitely should go to dinner with them. If you know a high major coach, that's the best way. I know a couple high major coaches when I'm on the road. I mean, I was trying to get them to pay for my dinner. That's so I can keep per diem, to be honest with you. But I went to dinner with them, and they had somebody else. So I got to meet whoever they had with them. So that's the best way. But myself, man, I just really wanted to work hard and win. Now, obviously, when I was younger, I was like, man, I gotta get out. But then I said, man, I gotta make sure we win here. Forget thinking about getting out so much. I'm blessed and fortunate to have a coaching job. let me make sure I win at Hampton. Because sometimes we forget where we come from. Like, man, I was just a Division II coach. So how can I get so greedy to get out instead of working and winning at Hampton? If something happens, something happens. So I just think winning takes care of a lot of that. And, you know, having a couple guys say great things about you. You know, if you have 100 guys say, man, Akeem's a good dude, he work hard, versus 100 guys saying, man, I don't know about that dude. Like, he never works. And that's how you move. And to be honest with you, moving – you got to kind of befriend some assistant coaches. I know a lot of people say the head coaches, but to be honest, the head coach is going to ask the assistant coach. They're going to ask their assistants. They're going to ask sisters that worked for them before, hey, you know, give me a list of guys. They're going to ask the assistant that's leaving. So you kind of want those assistants to pitch your name. Man, Akeem is pretty good. Or Wes is pretty good. Eric's pretty good. You know, you want those assistants to pitch your name, and that's how you get out. But you got to win, man. You got to win.
Yeah, it's very similar to, you know, we talk to our players a lot. I'm sure you said the same message, players that want to go play at the next level. You know, organizations are looking for people to impact winning at the end of the day. So if they want to if the Portland Trail Blazers has a spot, Dame Lillard obviously wants to win. C.J. McCollum, they want to win. So they're not hiring somebody they don't think can impact winning. And it's the same thing with coaching. So appreciate you touching on that. Yeah, as we shift gears before we talk about FAU, just – any thoughts you have? I know we've talked some about it. I know you have some convictions, and you've done a good job being a leader in your program about this same topic with your head coach and other coaches. So just anything you want to share that you think will be helpful.
Black Lives Matter. I would say that. Like, they do matter. Other thing is I challenge all of us to educate ourselves, even myself. Like, June 10th, to be honest, I didn't know about that. I researched and challenged myself to learn about it, and then sent it to my team. I don't think you can educate anybody or have a competent conversation with anybody unless you educate yourself. Like, right now, I'm reading a book called Begin Again. It's about James Baldwin, Eddie Glaude, and I didn't know about Dorothy Counts. Like, I didn't know about her. She, in 1957, integrated Charlotte High School, Hardin High School in Charlotte. Like, I didn't know about that. Like, that's stuff that I didn't learn. And my minor is history. Like, we know the basic stuff, but we just got to educate ourselves so we can educate the guys that we're coaching and the people that we're talking to. For us at FAU, I had Akbar Cook on, principal at Westside High School. I was fortunate enough, he's an alum, so I was fortunate enough to see him post something on Twitter, and I was like, man, it would be a great thing to have this guy on for our guys. And I think, you know, for a sport that's dominated by Black players, I think it's good for them to see other guys that's not in the NBA. Like, Akbar Cook is basically a famous principal that played basketball at FAU, because not everybody's going to make it to the NBA. So I think it's good for them to see that. And we're trying to get everybody to register to vote. I think we got everybody on our team. Maybe like one person needs to register. So we're trying to get everybody registered to vote, and we're trying to educate our guys on a lot of stuff, you know, their finances, a lot of stuff, man. That's what we're trying to do. But the biggest thing, I challenge myself during the quarantine, like, I have to get more educated on what's going on. Like, I can't educate our guys if I'm not 100% confident in what I'm talking about, because I'm not educated.
Right, and you kind of touched on it too, you know, the education that maybe we got from our college or high school or grade school experience may not tell the full story. We know that even more now. So I think it's even more important, like you said, just to piggyback, to be able to educate ourselves so then we can pay it forward and pass it along and really share a lot of the untold stories, very similar to what Coach Lamar was talking about earlier, you know, the untold stories of the history to how we got to where we are. So then we know not only have more education and awareness, but now we know how to move forward and navigate even better. Real quick, if you don't mind, tell a quick story, if you're comfortable sharing it, just when it first happened and how you were able to lead as the Black man on your staff to the other members of your staff for what to do with your team, if you don't mind.
When it first hit, we had a couple guys still on campus. Two of our top players were still getting treatment. So Coach was able to talk to them, but we have a really good relationship with our guys. So Coach and our our other staff members and everybody that I'm with, they made calls and asked them, checked on them and asked them, have they ever experienced this stuff and stuff like that. So our staff did a heck of a job. Like even before I called dudes, they're like, yeah, I already talked to coach. I already talked to coach such and such. So they did a heck of a job. And that's the relationship we have with our guys. It's the reason why we have 3 fifth-year guys still here. I mean, because, you know, we're talking to these guys consistently and having that tough conversation. So to be honest with you, Brian, I didn't have to do much because our staff was already on it. Now, giving some ideas like Akbar Cook, that stuff, and maybe just taking the initiative. Right now, I think I'm taking the initiative of getting everybody registered to vote, or the June 10th thing, sending in the group message and sending to our guys. I took the initiative on that. But you know, Coach May, he's gonna give you freedom to do stuff. So, I mean, he basically, I took the initiative on a lot of things. But our staff, I mean, they did a great job of talking to these guys and having some hard conversations. Like, have this ever happened to you? And that's all you can ask for those hard conversations to happen. And for those guys, I know Coach, I forget the book he's reading, but Coach is reading a book right now. Our guys are educating. Our staff is educating themselves on a lot of stuff. So I'm really proud of those guys, and I'm happy to be on the staff with them.
Yeah, amen to that. Amen to that. Let's get straight into that. Since we're talking about FAU, we'll just kind of give you a few questions in a row and just let you roll with it. But what makes FAU a special place? And then Coach May, I know him very well, all the way back when he was an assistant. I want to say I first met him, he was an assistant at La Tech for Coach White, and I was at Abilene Christian. Just a phenomenal dude, really good basketball coach. Of course, coached against him too when I was at UTEP, and it was my scout, so had to figure out how to get the chase, and are you going to go under the screen, over the screen, all of that. I talked to him on the phone many times about it, like, man, where you get this offense from? But and that was before people were really doing that in college as much, and it was really tough scout. I remember the scout team. I was thinking, like, man, we need to put this in. You know, it's working for us. But anyway, tell us a few things that makes Coach May great. If you had to say 3 things that makes him great, then tell us what makes FAU special.
Man, Coach May is a beast, man. I would say great person, like you said, very humble. I mean, this dude goes around campus, and if it's a piece of trash, he literally picks it up. He has me doing it, and I've never done it before. Like, he has me doing it. He's picking up trash. Relationship builder and cultivator. Like you said, he has a relationship with everybody. It seems like he's always picking up the phone for people. One thing I will say about Coach May, he is very efficient on the phone, even with his assistants. Like, he's only going to have like a 2-minute conversation. He's going to be, all right, kid, I'll talk to you. So he's really good relationship builder. And poise, and Eric knows this. His first game he ever coached was against Lincoln University in an exhibition, a Division II. We lost. His next game, well, before I say his next game, in a locker room, he told the guys, we're going to get better. This is on me. A lot of coaches ain't doing that. A lot of coaches look, man, who did this scouting report? Like, he said, this is on me. I got to get better. Then the next game, we played UCF. We beat them by 1 point. Like, the same UCF that almost beat Duke, we beat them. So his poise, and last but not least, this could be first. Like, he's a tireless worker, and just about everything, even with his family. Like, he's gonna work hard to make sure he has a relationship with his sons. But he's a tireless worker. Like, this dude bikes to work, not only for exercise, but he exercises and he makes his phone calls. So on his way back, he's making phone calls. He's a tireless worker, and I know you talk about offense, but he's watching so much film, NBA. The guys are pulling clips from NBA sets that he saw. I mean, he watches overseas. He got me watching. I really never watched overseas that much until I started working for Coach May. He's got me watching overseas basketball. So he's a beast, man. And the biggest thing I would say, he's an incredible person, like incredible person. And the other question you asked, what makes FAU incredible, a good place, or can be a good place? It's the leadership up top from our president and our AD. Most good places, athletics, that have good athletics, they have an AD and a president that kind of see eye to eye. Like, they really want all 18 sports here at FAU to succeed. Like, when Brian White, who's our athletic director, some of you guys may know Mike White is his brother, the head coach at Florida. Danny White is the athletic director. That's the athletic director at UCF. That's his other brother. And his father is the athletic director at Duke. So Brian White came here. Golf didn't even have scholarships. And he had, you know, he gave scholarships to golf. So they're really pro athletics here. We got $3 million donation to get our locker room redone, get a shooting court upstairs. So it's a lot of stuff that they're doing for athletics. And even the coaches here, man, we got Hall of Fame softball coach. We got a 500 win baseball coach. So they're doing some great things here, man. It's a family atmosphere. And even to go back to coaches, I mean, we had Lane Kiffin as our football coach, and now we got Willie Taggart. So, like, we got some big-time coaches here. And last but not least, I mean, we 1.8 miles from the beach. I mean, you can't beat that. Like, I honestly live, like, 2 miles from the beach. I can walk to the beach from my house, and even campus, like campus, you can see the beach from campus. You can see the water from campus, I should say. So we got a good setup, and we're going to do something special here.
Yeah, you guys are already on your way to doing that, and just a short amount of time, the 2 years you've been there, definitely got Pastrana out of there, which helps get some dead weight out of the way. You know what I mean? No
doubt.
But tell us a little bit more about the staff. I know you got some support staff guys. I think I talked to some guys on the phone that were super helpful in the process of trying to learn some of the offensive stuff and stuff you guys were doing at one point in time. So just curious, tell us a little bit more about your staff.
Man, we got an egoless staff. That's what I think about our staff. Even when Persona was here, we got an egoless staff. Everybody's about helping each other, man. Our chemistry is really good. Even our players see it. Nothing is beneath the staff. Like wiping floors, carrying bags. Like we're all trying to serve. We're all trying to help. Even in recruiting, man. I'll just tell you guys a quick story. It was a kid from Illinois that one of our assistants saw, was like, King, you got to recruit him. You know, he's good. And I saw a kid from Florida. I'm like, no, this dude is better. You know, in some situations, I'm like, nah, my kid from Illinois, way better. So, like, we all have our evaluations on kids, even from the special assistant to the head coach, all the way to our ops. You know, whoever we're recruiting, everybody has their opinion. Nobody's upset. Like, man, he don't know what he's talking about. No, everybody values everyone's opinion, and that's what makes us special. Nobody's getting their feelings. Like, if we get into it, we're fine. Like, we may argue, but we're fine after that. We got really good staff chemistry, and like I said, it starts from the top. It starts from Dusty. But I would say the one thing about our staff, we're egoless.
Yeah, I love that. And there's something to be said about, you know, the winning staffs and the winning. Coach Tang has talked about it. Jareem Dowling has talked about it. Team that have won championships. James Miller, who's been on the Zoom, has talked about it. Just having that chemistry as a staff that no one cares who gets the credit. Everybody's in it, rowing in the same direction. And there's others. Leonard Perry talked about that at Pacific. I mean, it's a consistent thing, you know. And you definitely can see that about you guys there. And great credit to you guys. Like I said, you got Pastrana out of the way, so that also helps a lot. No, just messing with
you. He's still taking advantage of those high major meals. He's talking about how he takes high major assistant. I couldn't get this guy to go to lunch with me once at FAU. Now every time I saw him on the road, he's trying to get lunch.
Maybe now he's gonna have you take him to lunch since you're at a high major now. Maybe that's the deal.
Oh no, he loves eating with me now. He ain't even trying to pull out his credit card.
I love it. So let's go through these categories. Tell us one thing you love about something you guys do specifically at FAU in these categories. Offensively, defensively, recruiting. You kind of talked about recruiting. You don't have to necessarily do that one. And then culture.
Yeah, so offensively, I would say freedom. Our first year, we attempted the most threes in school history. Now, we didn't make that many, but we attempted it. Coach gives a lot of freedom.
You got a lot of offensive rebounds, though. That was one of the best things you did.
Yeah, no, we were top 3 in the country. I mean, top 3 in our conference in offense rebound. Yep. But, yeah, I mean, threes. Our second best – actually, he's our first best shooter. He's our first best shooter is our center, who's 6'11". So – all 5 guys are capable of shooting, and coach gives a lot of freedom. You know, that's what I would say offensively. Defensively, just our switching defenses. you know, not only our switching 1 through 4 man-to-man defense, but our switching defenses. Now we want to get away from that. You know, next year we think we'll be able to play more man-to-man. We'll switch 1 through 4. We'll ice sideline ball screens. We want to just stick to that, but I think that's what helped us compete the first 2 years. Then I'll talk about this more, just our closeouts. We close out a little different. We swipe at the ball for our closeouts. And in recruiting, I would say just for us, man, that I talked about our entire staff and evaluate the kid. Even if I go see him, our ops will watch film on him. Our special assistant watch film on him. And the other thing, just know your weakness. Like we know our weakness. We're not going to beat Western Kentucky or Wichita State on the kid. So, you know, why waste time on that kid? So we know our weaknesses. And culturally, I would say attacking adversity head on. You know, if we have some adversity, we're going to pull them after practice or we're going to attack it head on. And the other thing we always talk about is no whispering. I mean, in the locker room, man, he's shooting too much. Now, if you want to talk about that, let's talk about it in the open. Like, this is the reason why he's shooting, because he's shooting 40-some% from 3. So we always talk about no whispering, because whispering can help. I mean, you'll lose a couple games because guys are hating on each other or whispering. So we always talk about that.
Yeah, I've never heard that one. I like that one. No whispering. That's good, because obviously it's kind of like misery loves company. You start doing it, and next thing you know, guys start not buying all the way in.
No doubt.
That's big time. Tell us two quick questions, and then we'll kind of open up to the room. Tell us one thing you would tell your younger self, as you have already navigated and took jobs for no money and been at every level and figured out not to be worried about the next job or worry about your job. So obviously you've been successful, but what would you tell your younger self? And then what would you say is your why? If you had to say, what's your why for coaching? What would you say it is?
I would tell my younger self to major in psychology. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I probably should have went to more Division I practices. I was just in my own little bubble trying to work hard. I probably should have went out to, I was at Hampton, so I probably should have went to ODU more, Virginia more, VCU more, and not only met the assistant coaches, but watch practice, met the video guys, and picked their brain about some things. I probably should have did that a lot more when I was a Division II and in mid-major, whatever you want to call it, at Hampton, Division I guy. I should have did that a lot more. When I'm recruiting, I was in Illinois, I should have been going to UIC, DePaul, Loyola. That's one thing I probably should have did more. And my why, man, my why is just to serve guys, to serve others. Like, that's what I get more joy from. Like, to me, I'd rather give someone something on Christmas than receive something. It's funny. Me and my wife's anniversary is this Saturday, and she texts me like, "What do you want?" And I said, "I'm good. I don't need anything or really want anything. Like, man, I got a good life." So my why is just to serve others, to mentor these guys, and just be there for people. And just help people as much as I possibly can. That's what I want. That's what I get my greatest joy. I'm on the court. I'm serving others. You still see us now. We don't have any managers. So I'm chasing rebounds. I'm getting the best cardio in my life. I'm chasing rebounds, and that's serving, like talking to these guys about life situations. I talk to one of our players about razor bumps. Like, I'm serving him. Like, that's what I get a thrill out of, just doing that.
Yeah, I love it, Coach. Love it. I can relate to that part a lot. I didn't lead my league in assists. I led my team. Was definitely a pass-first guy. And, in life, I think that kind of stays with you. That Steve Nash or that Rondo, Magic Johnson, want to get other people involved and see other people have joy. So that's awesome. Love it, love it, love it. So let's open the room up. Feel free to unmute yourself, say your name, where you're from. We'll take about, 4 or 5 questions and then let Coach kind of get into some basketball breakdown stuff for us. And even if you have a comment, if you want to make a comment, feel free to do that as well.
Coach, got a question. Tommy C. Wright, Gulfport, Mississippi high school basketball. So with the pandemic, what is the message to your players as far as like Plan B right now? Like, a lot of my guys, like a lot of my high school guys, they're like, "Coach, I don't know if I'll be able to play college basketball due to the pandemic, the recruiting kind of shut down or whatever." So what's the message outside of basketball for these guys to continue in their education career or get degrees and all that good stuff?
Man, to be honest about you, we don't really talk about like if we're not gonna play. We really don't. We're just in the moment. Personally, I would say to keep working as if everything is gonna be fine, because you don't want to get into that mental headspace and play with yourself like everything is gonna be worse than what it already is. So my advice would just to keep doing what you're doing. If you can get in the gym, if that allows you to get in the gym, because that should give the guys a peace of mind because it's something that's normal. And if not, they got to study film. They got to try to get better some other way. Go for a run, do some ball handling stuff. But we try to stay away from just talking about it because I think that'll spook some guys out, man. We just try to, get our guys to the point where, all right, we're going to work out and we're going forward as if it was season. Then we'll let the chips fall where they fall.
Good question, Coach. Good question.
Appreciate you.
I got one while some other guys are kind of thinking. Tell us about the experience with Top Connect. Obviously, a big honor. And just tell us about, your approach to being a head coach. I know we've talked about it some. And I know you're a man of faith and a man of peace, and you're in a great spot and probably don't necessarily feel like you have to do that. But everybody has that desire, more or less, to try to lead a program and be a head coach. So just tell us a little bit about that, if you don't mind, the behind the scenes of that and what that experience was like. And then also just, your kind of preparation to become a head coach.
Yeah, it was a great experience. The best thing of all that comes from that is obviously the relationships you get to try to forge, but I would say just the mock interviews. You get a little speed dating thing. It was actually better this year being on Zoom because you have more time versus last year we went to Vegas. You didn't have that many time. I got Eric sitting next to me. I got another coach sitting next to me, so it wasn't that as good as it was this year. Being on Zoom, it was really good. And just the mock interviews with different associate ADs that's going to be, athletic directors, and just, the practice of not only telling your story, but, engaging in other things with athletic directors. So that's a great experience because that's like practice. Anytime you can practice speaking, like right now, even though I'm helping you guys and you guys are helping me, but this is like public speaking practice. So that's really good. And as far as being a head coach, how I am. I'm so in my little bubble with trying to help FAU. But at the same time, even though I'm in my bubble, I'm learning from Coach May how to build a program. Let's be honest, the jobs we may take, it's not going to be so great. I mean, it'll be great if I do get a already made job like Kent State or somewhere that's really good. But the jobs that we may take, are going to be a build job. And I'm learning from Coach May how to build. One thing I'm doing during the pandemic, obviously I'm sharpening my X and O game as far as I got a board at the house and I'm drawing up stuff. I'm drawing up our plays. The other thing I'm doing is making my little booklet that I would give to ADs and, making sure I put my ideas on paper. One of the biggest things I learned that I should have done when I was younger too was create a coaching folder. I mean, I kept a lot of stuff, so I got so many papers, and I'm trying to, combine that stuff. But now I keep a coaching folder on my laptop, and if it's a play or anything that I like, I'll put it in that folder. I even went back to some of the older stuff that I've done at some of the places I've been, and just put that in the folder. The advice I would give everyone is, man, whatever you like, make sure you put it in the folder. Make sure you put that thing in the folder and keep it because you'll want to use it. So even during the pandemic, I went back. What happened? Why couldn't we win my first year coaching at Hampton? We were 16-16. And I went all the way through and put a couple of things for why we won and why we didn't win.
Hello, Coach. Darrell Robinson, Danville High School in Illinois. What's a typical day for you at FAU or a typical day for one of your players?
A typical day for me, I don't know if I want to go pre or post pandemic, but I'll go I'll go post-pandemic right now. A typical day is get in the morning, and I got a Frankly Covey planner that I got the idea from Joey Higginbotham. I mean, he made me have that planner when I was a Division II coach. And I write down everything that I need to try to get done. Now, obviously, I may not get everything done, but the next day I'll write that down again. But so the first couple of things that I'll do is watch some film. And it may be some recruiting film. It may be from practice. So I'll watch film. We have workouts at 11 o'clock. So, we got practice. We'll meet about practice, or sometimes coach is not a big meeting guy. So sometimes it may be just, hey, you want to do anything different? So we'll throw some things at them. So we'll talk about practice a little bit, and we got practice. And after practice, I'll really work out with the guys. This year, we're going to lift before practice. Last 2 years, we lifted after practice, but I really lift. I lift on the side with the coaches. I'm not going to sit here and say I lift with the guys, but I lift on the side with the coaches in the weight room with the guys. Then after that, I usually like knocking out our practice film, because I never want a player to say, Coach, let's watch film of the practice and not have it ready. So I usually want to knock out practice film right after practice while it's fresh in my head, because I'll be thinking like, man, such and such played well. Then I'll watch film and he didn't play well. And post-pandemic, honestly, even during that time in the morning, I'm making calls and text messages to other coaches. Then after I finish watching film, practice film, I'm making calls and I'm texting other coaches, because I'm trying to get better at not using my phone as soon as I get home. I stay about 10 minutes away from campus.
Coaches, do you mean like other coaches on your staff, or
no,
other coaches in the league?
High school coaches, AU coaches, and recruits. So all throughout the day, I'm trying to make calls. So even in my list of things to do, I have, call, 522 kids, 2022 kids. Call, I need to call the 2 kids. I'm only recruiting like 2 or 3 kids for 21 because I've already seen them, but call those guys. So I'll have that too during the day, because when I get home, I really want the first couple hours, I just wanted to spend time with my wife and my daughter, unless it's an emergency. I'm trying to put my phone down. And I wasn't good at that prior, trust me. I wasn't good at that, but I'm trying to be better at that. So then when they go to sleep, I'll probably make some more calls or watch some NBA games or something like that.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah, let's take a couple more before Coach kind of starts breaking down some basketball stuff for us. Jacob, I'll call you out, man, since you're one of the younger guys on here. I know you got something for Coach. I know you don't.
I've been thinking about how to ask it.
I know you, man. I know you. Come on, man.
Coach, so being a manager in these unprecedented times, what are some ways I can continue to make myself the best candidate out there, and to continue to learn and help out my current staff from afar, essentially?
And I would hit some dobos in your area and ask them for different film, like teams that you're not going to play against. I would hit them and ask them, questions about what they're doing in practice. And that's a good way for you to build relationships too. Like I would seriously, that's the first thing that come to mind. And just get with the coaches and see what you can help them with. I always ask them, hey, I don't know if you can do edits, whatever, if I do picture edits or whatever you can do to help those guys. Man, one thing, picture edits is so big in our profession. Like if you can learn how to do that, if you got time to learn how to do that, that would be really good for you, man. Because, we had a JUCO coach tell us we were trying to help one of our managers or our GAs get hired. And he's like, man, I want somebody that can do picture edits. So that's how important it is. So those 2 things, but call some dobos in your area. Call our dobo. He just put his number on there. Call him and get some of our practices, or ask him some questions, get to know, because those are the guys that's going to be assistants, because most of us were all either managers, dobos. We all kind of worked our ways up. So call those guys and get to know those guys.
Thank you.
Akeem, Sean Tucker, Chesapeake College women's basketball. Great job so far, man. Appreciate it. High level. I got a question. We keeping up with the times. The kids are real heavy into technology, real heavy on social media. How has it changed for you when you first started recruiting until now, and how have you incorporated technology into your kind of recruiting pitch and using it? Give me some examples of some things that you do.
I mean, I started coaching in 2008, so I guess it wasn't as many social media sites. It was basically just Facebook. So it was more phone calls or whatever. But now it's more text messages, DMs, Twitter. I mean, they rather communicate that way. Picture edits. So I would say just different ways of communicating. You know, you ain't got to call a kid every day now. Heck, they don't want you to call them every day. I think you got to be creative in whether that's, I mean, I'll FaceTime somebody too. Like I'm going to FaceTime a kid this evening. And what's funny about FaceTime, and I'm sorry to go off on the tangent, but what's funny about FaceTime, when you FaceTime one of these kids, they won't even show you their face. They'll be talking on the phone. They like it though, but they won't show you their face.
It'll be at the ceiling, it'll be at the floor,
yeah, no
it'll
question.
be at the TV.
No question.
Man, what about looking at, man?
So I would say just be creative. DM, text, FaceTime, phone call every now and then. And now, you know, we're using Zoom. Every school in America is using Zoom. So we're using Zoom to show the campus, show our video of our team plan and stuff like that. And to be honest with you, because we recruit all around the country, we may have to continue to do this for unofficial visit, even when it goes back to normal. Just say, look, we're going to do a virtual unofficial. So Zoom has really been really good for everyone.
I got a question.
Go for it. The one and only, man. So if y'all don't,
ain't nothing like that, man. Cam Daly, man.
Y'all don't know who this guy is.
I'm a small guy in this pond, dog. Hey, so Akeem, with the state of basketball going the way it is, you know, Adam Hood talks about analytics and stuff like that. Kids nowadays with these, you know, training videos and working with these trainers, what are your thoughts on stuff, guys at the high school and trainers, to help you college guys out? Some things we can do.
Man, I would say, I think I just told Jacob to contact some Dobos. I would say get some film from, you know, some college guys, and just to see what they're doing, not only in workouts, but offensively. Like, you know, Cam, in college basketball, you can't take the James Harden. I saw James Harden take 8 dribbles. Like, you're not doing it in college basketball. First of all, your teammates going to be hating. Like, this dude gets to take 18 dribbles. So I would say just call some coaches. Hey, coach, give me some of your offensive playbook, or give me what you're doing in workouts. I think that would help a lot of people that work with kids understand like what they're doing. Like, it may be a team running motion, and say you're working out a kid that's going to the school, or, you know, his top 5 schools are schools that run motion. So why should you be working all this ball handling and stuff, dribble? You still sharpen up your tools, but when he's going to come off like a pin down or a stagger, like, you should be working more on pin downs and staggers. Now, if you go to a school that's going to do ball screen, we set a lot of ball screens. We do a lot of dribble handoff. So maybe he should be working on coming off ball screens and reading the tag guy, stuff like that. So I would say just see what a lot of schools in the area. I know you're in Georgia, so get with the Georgia schools and, hey, give me some of the stuff y'all doing, some of the stuff y'all working on, and learn from that.
Yeah, if I can piggyback on that, that was great answer. Just things that are translatable. I think so many young people are watching NBA and they think that's what they need to be doing, and they watch sometimes the internet and see things that may be challenging for a drill, but it doesn't translate to college basketball. So, for example, kind of like what Coach was talking about, just efficiency of the game, I think, is a huge one. You know, literally being good at making a straight line drive. Like we were on a Zoom yesterday about player development. Straight line drive and making a layup with contact. Like, that happens numerous times in the game, but it's not sexy enough sometimes for player development drills or for people to think that matters. I think moving without the ball, you know, again, kind of giving shout out to AB3, they stat how much of the game you don't have the ball in your hands is 95%. So what else can you do to help your team win when you don't have the ball in your hands? I think is a huge just education piece for players. I wrote down a few things: reading the tag and ball screens. I think that's one thing. Players, guards especially, they want to have the ball in their hand. They want to make the play, but they have no idea how to look at the second line of defense. And I think it's really simple, but yet, important and basic, but can be complicated, but so important because at the next level, it's a difference between you playing and not playing,
I'm gonna give y'all this though, Brian. Like many years ago, and this probably gonna tell a little bit of my age. Ben Jobe told me, like, the Europeans are gonna take over this game of basketball, and it's happening, and it's been happening for the last 10 years because they are trained the right way, starting at birth all the way until they get here. That's why guys like Luka, Dirk, and guys like that. That's why they're taking this game over because they know how to handle the ball. They know how to pass. They know how to move without the basketball, and their IQ is way higher than the American game. Yep. And it's a fault to, like, all of us. Like Huff just said on the thing, he don't like his players watching NBA, which of course you don't, but it's just so much stuff with social media and everything else going on that kids just watch too much of everything, and all they want to do is a highlight. Everybody wants a highlight film. Like, they want a trainer inside the gym with them when they're working out one-on-one with their trainer. They want a dude to have them making 15 dribbles, and then they miss the shot, but they're not going to show that in their stuff.
Yep.
So I think, that's a whole nother Zoom we could be on for like 7 days in a row.
Right. It's a mixtape generation. Everybody wants to have a mixtape. Everybody wants that immediate gratification. And it's a hard space for you guys because people don't want to be told the truth right now either, and not to take away from Coach's answer. But I think just like you said, thinking the game and fundamentals, we don't have enough of that. But again, that's not the sexy thing that people want to spend their time doing in player development. So
I will say this to elaborate on that and what Huff said. I think players now, if you talk to a lot of players, they don't even watch the whole game. They watch the highlights of a game. So some of the stuff the NBA, and I know it's elite of the elite, but like we showed our guys a clip today of a guy getting the offense rebound, kicking it out and re-spacing and hitting a three to tie the game. So like some of the stuff that can be relatable, some of the extra passing, like some of the defensive schemes, if you're icing, you got a stunt guy, some of that stuff can be relatable. But to be honest, the guys now, they just watch the highlights. I asked the guys, did you watch the game last night? I watched the highlights. So you're going to see Dame 61. So that's not relatable. Like, you're not going to shoot some of the shots Dame shoot. So we probably, to be honest, as coaches, we probably got to sit down and watch a whole game with them and just say, hey, what do you see? And ask them questions.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Great questions to everybody. Let's do this. Let's make it where we can share your screen and you kind of break some stuff down for us. I hit the wrong button. Make it where you can share yours. I think you're good.
I'm gonna show you guys this player development. Can you see this, Brian? Can everyone see this?
Yep.
So player development is big in our program, right? It's really huge. So Anthony Adger, South Carolina, he's went to Spartanburg Methodist Junior College. Like, probably should have been a Division II guy.
But who was a real bucket, by the way? Real life buckets.
So we got here his senior year. So you can see his numbers his senior year. And don't get me wrong, this is a testament to his work ethic, which was unbelievable. One of the hardest working players I've ever seen. Like, he worked so hard and went to hoop so much that we found out during the season that he was hooping in a rack with regular students. We're like, dude, you can't do that. You're going to sprain the ankle. But you can see how much our player development, like, we're huge on that. Sim, who was a Division II JUCO guy, probably shouldn't have been playing at this level. These two guys, we had to sign 10 guys when we got here. We kept 3 of the guys. These 2 were 2 out of 3 that we kept. And you see his numbers. Probably shouldn't have been playing, but he increased this stuff. But to be honest, defensively, he was really good. And Coach did a good job of just talking to him about just pretending like this is a 9-to-5. Because we were like, man, he don't really love ball. But the time that he was in the gym, let's clock in. You're not going to come back and get shots. We know that. But just clock in. And he became a really good defensive player that we missed last year, to be honest with you. Then we got
if you don't mind, Coach, I'm going to jump in too as somebody who scouted you guys and played against you guys this year. To be honest, Adger's numbers and Stapleton's numbers in conference play was 20 or close to it, 18 to 20. I mean, you had two 20-point scorers bona fide that the year before were averaging, less than 7 points a game. Not to cut you off, but I think that goes with your context. This is on a year, but in conference, they really got going.
Yeah, and Zay, what's crazy about Zay, so Zay grad transfer. He was at Louisiana Tech with Coach May, then he left to go to Mississippi State. So we got him as a grad transfer. And you see his numbers at Mississippi State. And, man, it's unfortunate because Zay got hurt. He played on a torn meniscus. He was on minute restriction, and he won Sixth Man of the Year. Like, he would have been first team all-conference. He was a straight buck in it. And Zay worked on his shot. He got in the gym and worked on his shot. But just a testament to our player development, man. That's big in our program. Let me share this with you guys. All right, this is can you see this, Brian?
Yep.
Okay. I'm just to be honest with you guys. We took over a program that doesn't have any history. So we had to sign 10 guys when we got here, and we couldn't go out. So you have to be creative in some of the things you do. I mean, you can't be everyone. We don't have the Western Kentucky talent. The ODU they had good talent. Like, we didn't have that talent. So we had to be creative.
Coach, real quick, if you don't mind, just explain what you mean when you said we couldn't go out, if you don't mind.
So we didn't have days when we got the job. We got the job in April. We didn't have days to go out. I think we borrowed 2 days from next year to go out. So Coach got to see like 2 guys, Mike Forrest and I think Jalen Sabri. So we didn't have days to go out to recruit. I always tell Coach this, man, I wish I would have he would have told me I was hired and I could have just drove, but you're so anxious to get there and work with the guys that you have. But we didn't have days. So we had to sign 10 guys basically on the phone. Like, hey, I got to call somebody. I got to call Lamar Bear. I got to call somebody about some other guys, some other players, people that I knew. And that's what we did. So when we signed 10 guys, Jareem, which is crazy. Jareem knew Paris Parham, who I'm really close to. He helped us with a guy. And I saw one of the big guys, Alex Metrovic. I saw him at Scott Golden's deal, like with the lights out. He weighed about 280 pounds. I was like, hey, he can score. We need a big dude. Like, we were just signing dudes. But it ended up working itself out. We won 18 games.
I was going to say you won 18 games that year too, which is a testament to you guys.
Yeah. So what I was saying, just got to be creative in our ideas because we're playing with less talent than everyone. But now I think we're going to be okay. Our talent is decent. I think we have talent enough to do, we won't have to do all this creative stuff as much. But I'll tell you, okay, this is the first game. Let me cut this value now. So this is our first game of the season. So Taco shoots 36 from the free throw line. And some of you guys in scouting, if a big guy shoots like 40%, but he's shooting 50% in paint, I mean, you probably should foul. So our scouting report was if Taco catches the ball deep and he's in scoring position, we're foul. So Carlos, he woke up thinking he was going to hoop today. We had 3 centers, by the way. So that's 15 fouls. Carlos woke up thinking he's going to hoop, he's going to play. And this is the first possession of the game. And we didn't want him to do that, but Carlos, after Carlos was remembered, we told him to foul. So right now we're in our 2 zone. And you'll see Taco get the ball. I want y'all to watch our bench. Watch our bench. This is how engaged they are into the scout report. This is going to be a foul. Watch our bench. Everybody's happy, like, because they know we wanted to foul. So there's just something creative, like a center shoot 36%. Like, we know if he gets down there, Taco's going to dunk on us all day. So we won that game by 1 point. Taco was 1 for 4 from the free throw line. He had 9 points. So if he makes 1 more free throw, it's tied. Or if he makes 2 more free throws, they win the game. So that's game planning. So ODU, who ends up winning the league this year, you see our record at the time. We're playing them. So right now, we're in man-to-man. You can see Cal Church standing up, yelling 2. So ODU offense is very predictable. Like, you can just stay back and change the defense and do whatever because everything they do is predictable. So one of these sets, it just takes you right into zone. So he curls, and they go back to their baseline runner series, and it takes you to zone. So now they're kind of confused and we're guarding. Like, this is just us being creative. And this is the shot because their offense, they're shooting a Dame Lillard shot. Now, granted, that's Carver, who's really good, Caver, who's really good, but they're shooting a long three, and that messed them up. So we go ODU again. Same thing. You see how he just stands there? It's going to take 5 seconds to run this play. So we call 2. We go from man to 2, and they get right up into it.
And for context, for everybody who doesn't know, Old Dominion won the conference that year, went to the tournament.
Yeah, and we were one of the teams that actually beat them at home. So something unique that we do, we don't do the chop it up, close out with 2 hands. So Coach saw Kawhi Leonard, and he couldn't find a clip for me too. So it's decent clips, but Kawhi Leonard swipes down at the ball and has a hand to the ball on closeouts. Now, don't get it twisted. If they throw a skip, we want to make shooters dribble, so we may run them off the line. But we never 2-hand close out, chop it up. We always swipe and play the ball. So if the ball is on your left hip and you're a right-hand shooter, like you're not Chris Paul or some of these guys that can do that. Only NBA guys that do that. We're probably not going to even swipe. So you'll see it in some of these clips. So watch Kawhi. Watch this swipe. Even though it was late, but that's what we do. We try to swipe at the ball. He'll swipe with his left hand right here. Swipe at the ball. Like, I think some of us, we always want to close out, and you'll see in practice. So watch the far side. So this is a ball screen. Xavier Stapleton, I'm sorry the film is so far away, but Xavier Stapleton has on the headband. He's tagging. He's going to tag and watch his closeout. Tag, swipe. And he swipes at the ball. So usually that's a tag, raise your hand, chop your feet. But for us, we don't do that. So right here, Zay, and I'm going to go back a little bit. Zay close out, and Mike Forrest, who's a good shooter, has the ball on his left hip. So Zay doesn't do anything. Like, he doesn't look like he's going to shoot. So why chop it up? Even right here, swipe. Go back. Even right here, when they got the ball to the second side, got the ball right here, it was another swipe. Quick swipe. We want to make them exchange the ball. So they got the ball in the shooter pocket. We want to make them exchange the ball. Right here, swipe, hand to the ball. We want to make them exchange the ball. Swipe, shot, messes up the shot. And in our first year, we were second in 3-point field goal defense. So last year we did terrible, but we didn't swipe enough, and we probably should work on it more. But our first year we did a really good job. And we want to make them exchange the ball, make them uncomfortable. Swipe with the left. You see how he exchanged the ball? That's a hell of a good shooter right there too, from Miami. So you see how he exchanged the ball? We want our hand at the ball all the time. Hand to the ball all the time. Swipe. Then we end up Xing that because Mike got beat. But watch how Jalen Ingram, one of our best players, he makes this guy exchange the ball. We want these guys exchanging the ball. So there's just some unique stuff that we do. And we do some other stuff to keep us in the game. Like I said, next year we don't want to do all that stuff because we got a good team and we got some talent that we don't have to do all that. So we don't want to, try to do stuff that we don't have to do. But normally our man-to-man defense, we switch 1 through 4. We ice sideline ball screens. We're still trying to figure out what we're going to do in the middle. But even something as unique as if you got left-handers or you got guys that love to go left, when you in the middle ball screen, you always weak it. So some of you guys may not know what weak is. That means forcing left. You try to weak it, but we may say weak and we may force them right if they love to go left. We may do something like that. Just something different, man. And I think for us, we have to be different because, like I said, we're not going to get a Charles Bassey. We're not going to get players like that. We know who we are. We know our identity. So we're going to do different stuff. How many teams in our league do ice? Probably like 3. How many teams switch 1 through 4? 1. So we got to do something that's different, and hopefully that puts us over the top, especially once we get the talent. And we think we have good enough talent to do what we're normally going to do and a little bit more this year.
Coach, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
What's going on, Akeem?
What's up, Coach?
I wanted to ask you, so you're talking about how you guys have to do different things to compensate for not having as much talent as another team or whatever. And I do think you guys have good talent. But what do you do in the recruiting process to determine a player's basketball IQ? Because obviously if you can't remember those different schemes, it's not going to work. So what do you do to try and figure that out?
You got to watch as many games. That's a great question, Coach. You got to watch as many games as possible. You got to talk to as many people as possible. And the biggest thing, you got to go watch them practice. Because in practice, they're going to run some plays. And if he keeps messing up the play, you're going to be like, man, or, if he's icing and he's going to the other side, you're going to be like, man, he's not going to be able to ice. So that's one thing. Obviously, if he can play, you may have to live with some of that. If he's in high school and he's playing, you may have to live with some of that. But you just got to watch him and ask and investigate. So I'm going to watch him play. I'm going to watch him practice. And I'm going to ask everyone. And the whole staff is going to watch film on him too. So, we got, 4 assistants, head coach 5, operations. So we got 7 guys watching film. So we'll figure out if he doesn't have a basketball IQ.
Awesome. Thank you.
Coach, real quick before we go to the next question, I think you had one more picture maybe you want to show.
Oh, yeah. I'll show what we're doing here. Let me get this out of here. Just our 2 years here, right? This is Coach May. This is our 2 years here. Like the program has never had back-to-back winning season. So trust me, the bar is set low. But for us, Coach May has won everywhere he's been. I've won kind of everywhere I've been. Even our whole staff, man, what's crazy about it. We've all won everywhere we've been. So this is just some of the accomplishments, man. CIT in our first year, first winning season in 8 years, first conference, most conference wins, most home wins in the last 2 years. So these are just some of the accomplishments. And we had to kind of scheme and do all that stuff, but we want to get away from that with the talent we'll have this year. Hopefully we can stay healthy because last 2 years that's been bothering us, but that's a part of basketball. So we have to get more talent, just if someone gets hurt, someone else has to step up. But this is just some of the success and the accomplishments we have achieved. But, if you were to ask Coach May and our staff, this is just okay. The ultimate goal is to win the league and hopefully get to that NCAA tournament.
Awesome stuff, Coach. Love it. Let's open up for questions for Coach now that he's kind of broke down some basketball stuff and showed the inside of their program a little bit. Let's kind of have some hoop talk.
Hey, Keem, I got one, man. Great job. Lavelle taught.
I think you're echoing a little bit.
Is that better?
Yeah.
I might try to jump in a second, try to get my stuff together over here.
I think Jimmy saying is your phone. Is your phone on too?
Somebody else can jump in there.
Type it in the chat, Wes.
All right, Coach. What's y'all got a team motto y'all live by?
Man, to be honest, we just try to work hard every day. Now, I got an echo. Do you guys hear the echo?
Yeah, it's on all of ours.
Somebody said I got to mute mine. I'll mute mine then.
Jimmy, what were you saying?
Jarrell's phone is the one causing the feedback. If you want to mute it after.
Gotcha.
We good, Brian?
Yeah, Darrell, go ahead. You already said your question. What did you say? So yeah, go ahead and give your answer.
I heard you. Man, we don't have too many. Coach May is not like a motto guy or, you know, all these words. I mean, we're like, let's work hard and get better each day. Like that's the goal, just to work hard and get better. I mean, our whole staff is probably, well, most of the staff members have read Atomic Habits, and it talks about 1% better each day. You know, at the end of the year, you add it up, it'll be 37% better. So he just focuses on the moment and just trying to get better. That's our biggest thing. Like each day we want to get better. We don't have all these fancy words. When we get our new locker room, we probably won't be posting all that stuff up because it's not his deal. So, you know, our goal is just to get better each day and you know, attack adversity head on and no whispering.
Wes, let's give yours a try again, man.
You hear me?
Yeah, we're free, man. We're free.
Hey, King, we did that at Central, man. Lavelle would call it a rake at it. Would you try to get those guys to knock that ball loose? Like if I go like to shot fake when you try to swipe at it, would you try to tell them to knock it loose if they could?
Yeah, I wish I had some other clips because Jalen Ingram, who's going to be a senior this year, a fifth-year guy, he does a great job at raking at the ball. We call it swiping, and he knocks it loose. So we want them to attack the ball. We want them to attack the ball, and we want to handcuff guys. We want guys that have to exchange it. Obviously, you know, we want to get deflections. So we want to rake at it and have guys get a deflection or exchange it. You know, we just want them uncomfortable. So we'll say swipe, and last year we said push back, but this year we're going to say give. So we're going to say swipe, then give a little bit and be arm distance away. You know, I think high school guys, when our best athletes on our team is a freshman from Mississippi, and right now he's struggling with giving, like pushing back. He's going to swipe, but he's so strong and athletic, like he's probably just used to just taking people ball. High school guys struggle with the distance to guard. So, but yeah, we're going to swipe and try to get that ball loose.
Do you guys teach more swipe up, swipe down? Obviously, referees normally call fouls more if you swipe down. Do you teach either one, or is it kind of preference per person? Or
yeah, we swipe down. We're gonna swipe down. Honestly, I don't know if we ever been called for a foul. Even in the midst of like guys shooting, I don't think we've been called for a foul. And like I said, our first year we did a really good job. We're second in 3-point field goal defense. I think this year we'll do a good job too.
Coach Isaac Williams, Cal State Monterey Bay. Earlier you said something about breaking the record for 3-point attempts. Are you guys doing anything special or different to generate 3-point looks other than just giving your guys freedom to shoot it?
What's crazy is last year, so we want to get these type of shots. I'll give it to you. We want to get shots at the rim. That's probably the highest percentage shot you can get. We want to get to the foul line, get fouled, and we want to catch and shoot threes. Like, for instance, if we get it out in transition, and Mike Forrest, who shoots upper 30% from three, and he's open, that's a good shot for us. Like if he runs and sprints to the wing and he's open, that's a good shot for us. So we want to get threes out of transition if they're catch and shoot within our offense. The threes we want to eliminate is the dribble threes. You know, you're doing all these dribble. We want to eliminate those threes. But some guys will have that freedom, like Mike Forrest will have that freedom to shoot those threes if he proves he can make it. But we get most of our threes from transition and out of our offense. And you got to realize, like, our 5-man is going to shoot like 50 threes. So if our Mike Forrest is going to we want him to take every open three. If somebody go under the ball screen, that's the freedom. If somebody go on the ball screen, we're going to be yelling at him if he doesn't shoot it. We want to shoot a lot of catch and shoot threes. And for us, the best three we get are usually in the corner three out of ball screen. So we really focus on our footwork in the corner and shooting those three. But it goes to just the freedom. Just the freedom, man. We give our guys a lot of freedom. Now, we don't want to shoot off the bounce shots. And one thing unique that we did last year, because we were taking bad shots. Todd Abernathy really convinced coach to grade our shot selection. So we want to take A shots almost all the time. And the A shot for us is what I talked about: catch and shoot, wide open three, a drive to the basket, or getting fouled. Those are A shots. Like, we don't want to shoot contested mid-range. Now, if you get downhill off a ball screen, you're a decent shooter. We want you, shoot a downhill mid-range. But that's like our least favorite shot. So,
thank you.
Yeah, that first year too, Isaac, you saw those two guys he had that had that big improvement. Those guys could really shoot. So
the ball, they went in.
They put them up, and yeah, it went in. And when it didn't, they got it off the glass. Let's see, Carter. I know you know me. A good question asker. We'll let you jump in. Ben, don't be afraid, man. I know you're on staff, but don't be afraid, man. This is your time, okay?
Hey, Coach. Carter Heston. I'm over at Texas A&M Texarkana. I had a question, obviously, from seeing some of those clips and the talk about the no whispers that you brought up earlier. I just wondered if there's anything that you guys were doing different than other schools with team building to create that culture.
I don't know if we're doing anything different besides just trying to spend as much time with our guys as possible. And one thing with Dusty, like I said, it starts from leadership. What Dusty does, he's a big self-evaluator. And we lost a kid this year that averaged 10 points a game to grad transfer. And I think we all became, self-evaluators. Like, what did we do wrong? Because we all think like we're good at building relationships, which I think we are. I mean, we kept 3 out of 4 fifth-year guys, and they could have probably went anywhere. But we just thought like, man, maybe we got to do this more. We got to have them over our house more. So that's what we do more than anything. Like, we're trying to have them over our house, spend time with them. It may be walking them to the dorms when they're walking to the dorms. It may be eating breakfast with them. Then that kind of eliminates whispering, because you're going to ask them what's going on. And we always try to find guys to tell us what's going on. Then we'll address it. Some stuff, we may not address with coach. That's always, one of the assistant roles. Make sure you addressing the right things. But we try to, hit it head on. Like, we had a player Tuesday that he wasn't that good in workouts. Like, I went to him like, what's going on, man? Like, you can't act like this. Like, instead of waiting, we addressed it right away, so he knows he can't act like this. And it wasn't nothing bad. He was just, a little down, but we addressed the situation right when it happens. That way it won't fester.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Good question, Carter. I got one for you, Coach. What would you say is an underrated attribute of your success or your career? And then what would you say is kind of a behind-the-scenes skill that you still use to this day? One can be an attribute just kind of in general, and then one kind of more specifically too on a staff that you use to help your staff there be successful.
Man, underrated attribute.
Because, at the end of the day, we all kind of think like these roads are easy. And even when you tell your story, it's like, oh, he did this and he did this. But when you're going through it, it's a lot harder than what it looks, and guys like yourself have been able to make it look easy. So I just wanted you to share something that you think has been a contributing factor for you.
I think for me, it's been running my own race. I think too many guys get distracted at what other guys are doing. Like, I mean, I got to run my own race. I can't worry about, what my friends are doing in the business. If they're my age, they're high major. I can't worry about if other guys are on Top Connect or the other guys are on Jeff Goodman's list. I just try to run my own race and don't get distracted by anybody else's race. That I just really pride myself on not getting distracted. Like, if I see guys on Jeff Goodman list or any other list, I'm congratulating them. Like, I'm rooting for them, because trust me, I'm fine. I'm fortunate to be coaching in at FAU, Boca Raton, and I got a beautiful wife, beautiful daughter. So I'm fortunate. I'm happy where I'm at. The other thing I would say is, it wouldn't be underrated, but just the work ethic, man. I really try to get stuff done. If coach asks me, I try to do stuff before coach asks me to do it, have it done, that's when you know you're really
So
tight with the coach.
Kind of an initiative.
Yeah, no doubt. Like, and I was with Buck for 5 years, so before Buck would even say something, it was almost like we were married because we've been together for so long. Like before he even would say anything, I would already have it done or say, "Oh, Buck, it's done," Or even when come to subbing when I worked at Hampton, it was just like he'll look down and I'll be like, "Coach, he's at the scores table," So just knowing what coach wants for you. But the biggest thing for me is like what I said at first, just I think too many guys get caught up into what other guys are doing and they don't understand like how fortunate that they are with the job that they have. And I just try to run my own race. And anytime you get down, some of us and some of you younger guys, when you guys get a job, anytime you get down, just remember it's somebody that really would love to have your position. And us coaches like me that's doing okay, just remember the journey in the process. Like, man, I remember when I was working in the food shop, man, I remember I was sleeping in the locker room. Like, so anytime you get down, you got to think about the past or think about, hey, it's a lot of guys that would love to have your spot.
Yeah, not only perspective, what you're talking about, but also just celebrating how far you've come. Sometimes I give you that reminder of where you are, and there's going to be more victories to come as well. Anybody else?
And skill, and I'll go with this, Brian. And skill set for me is and I had this, and it's funny, just Dusty has this too. It's self-evaluating myself. Like I'm so hard on myself, man. Like even last year, I was like, man, I was too emotional. I can't be that emotional. Like every year, I'm always evaluating myself. So if I'm going to end of the year meeting, I probably already know what the head coach is going to say because I'm so hard on myself. Like, man, that's a terrible. Like to be honest, we lost to Charlotte this year, and they ran a side out of bounds, and we should have. They ran a flare, and we switched. Man, I didn't know that play. Like that still pisses me off right now. Like I'm like, man, that ain't happening again. So just being a self-evaluator and know, what you got to get better at.
I got one, Brian. That's cool.
Yep.
Akeem, how obviously, working with you and seeing how you kind of how you obviously put a ton of work in and extra hours. Obviously me being still single right now, I'm always curious kind of how the evolution of your career with such a demanding job, going from a single assistant kind of out there working to then married to now having a little girl. Like how have you been able to kind of continue to stay sharp with your career while balancing all the additional parts to your life now?
Big time question.
Man, that's a great question, Eric. Man, I fight for that every day. It's a struggle every day. Like it's a struggle, and it's going to be even more struggle because you got to remember, like, for a couple months, we were coming home, and it was almost if like my wife still feel like we're on COVID. So she's like, man, you should be home and doing this. It's a struggle every day, but you gotta be organized. Like I fight for organization every day. Like I didn't write anything in my planner. What am I doing? Like I fight for organization every day because you have to be organized. Like and for us coaches, we're masters at game planning and adjusting to adversity and adjusting the game plan. So I had to adjust my game plan. It was different. Like you said, Prashana, when it was just being single, man, I can freaking hop in my car, pack my stuff, and get a job. Now it's like, okay, Sherry, can we move here? I'm asking her. Then you go from being married, you could still be on the phone, you could still do stuff. You're only worried about one person. Then you go from to having a kid, so you got to adjust. Like I had to adjust my game plan. Like I had to change it up. Like I can't be on the phone as soon as I come home. I got to put my phone up. My wife got on me about that. And that's what I'm talking about too. Just, taking criticism. Like I could take criticism. If somebody on this call said, Akeem, you got to do this better, I'm like, listen to him and like, okay, you're right. So my wife's like, man, you on the phone as soon as you come in. You ain't gonna have no relationship with your daughter. And I took that to heart. I was like, damn, I want a better relationship with some of these recruits or with my daughter. So I want a better relationship with my daughter. And I'm a night owl anyway, so I can stay up and talk on the phone to guys, and especially some of the players now with COVID. So I had to adjust the game plan, Eric. That's what I have to say, man. We're all good coaches as far as adjusting through adversity, but you're gonna have to adjust your game plan, and you're gonna have to be organized. Like, you're gonna have to figure out a way. Maybe you call kids in the morning, maybe you call kids later at night, because that's the biggest thing. Once you get home, you got to spend some time with your family, so you got to figure out a way to make phone calls when they're asleep.
Yeah, one of the hardest but most important things that not everybody takes that as a priority. So much respect for you for making your family a priority to be able to balance both and still be able to be recognized as one of the top coaches in the game, and continuing to fight for it, because it's definitely a daily fight. And even we were talking about this on the last Zoom. Sometimes you may lose that game, or you may have that same adjustment that you didn't like that Charlotte game, and you're like, man, next time I'm going to do this, and just communicating with love to your loved one, because they're going to definitely put up with a lot. But then when you do have your downtime, try to find time to give them their time to go do whatever or do what they may want to do that particular day or that time. So, yeah, just to piggyback on that, EP. But I don't know. I'm assuming that day will come for you one day, EP. I don't know. Is that he's a Florida bachelor? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Hey, it's not coming in Stillwater. I'll tell you that right now.
I love it. We're going to do this, man. We're going to open it up for a few minutes. We'll take a few comments from guys that just want to comment on anything positive that you want to share with Akeem, that he's maybe made an impact on you, or something along the way that you just want to share with him. We call it giving flowers. So we're going to give some flowers real quick before he gives his closing thoughts. And then we'll give Lamar the mic as well, so he can talk about some of the things he's doing. So we'll end with you, Lamar. We'll let a couple guys go first, and then I'll pass it to Akeem so he can have his closing thoughts. Ben, you got to go first, by the way.
Yeah, I'll start us off, man. It's easy. So it was crazy when we first got down here. Akeem and I actually had the same first day of work, and I had met him very briefly at the Final Four that same year. I mean, I had no idea who he was. He had no idea who I was. And we were in the office, I don't know, I think I drove down. I got there around noon that day. I drove down from Orlando, and we were in the office for about 5, 6, 7 hours. I had no idea where I was going to be staying that night. No idea what to do. And everyone's kind of leaving, and it's probably like 9 or 10 at night. Everyone's leaving, and Keem's I'm just kind of like, okay, am I sleeping in the office tonight? What am I going to do? And Akeem allowed me to come stay in his hotel with him. And that just meant the world to me. And then, obviously we grew closer over the next couple months. And Pastrana had us all at his house one night. Him and Coach Church had the only apartment. And so the whole staff stayed at the apartment one night. And then finally when Akeem got a place, I stayed at his place for darn near 2 weeks in the room while his family wasn't in yet. So that just meant a lot to me, being just a young new guy and literally not having enough money to Airbnb it or whatever, and having to figure it out, being able to not have to stay in the office and stay with someone who doesn't even really know me. We're just building relationships. So this guy means a lot to me, means a lot to our program. I can't speak highly enough of him and who he is as a person, as a father. His family's amazing. A lot of fun to have around. So really appreciate who he is as a person and even just as a coach as well, just being able to learn from him every day. It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome, Ben. Awesome. Thanks so much, man, for sharing that. We'll take a couple more, and then we'll give it back to King.
Coach, I appreciate you being here tonight, taking the time to speak to all of us and sharing your story and your knowledge. I know you have a family and you could be with them. So it's great that you're here and be able to share with us. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate that, Jacob. Lamar, you want to take it from here?
Yes, sir. I've been fortunate probably to know Akeem longer than anyone on this. Probably been, 13 years now, through a mutual friend. Someone that's like a brother to me now. I get calls from him all the time. So every time it's been a job that he's been involved with, he's called me and asked me what my thoughts were. So I feel privileged for that. Proud of what he's done. I know he's going to be a future head coach in this business. That's no doubt. I know he doesn't. He lives in the moment. So, but I just feel that for myself. That's just something I know from being around him. Had a chance to be at his wedding. So I witnessed that. I was there when they kind of even when they first met. So, like I said, I've been with him 13 years, and he's been I'll say a little brother. He's younger than I am, but it's bigger than just us being friends. There's a brother. I mean, it's us being brothers, and so anytime I got a question, I'm calling him, and same, and it's vice versa. So, like I said, I'm proud of him. I'm not shocked at the end of this. I know how hard he worked since his days when he was at Division II. So, and when he first went to Hampton. So I know how that is, and like I said, man, I'm proud of him. I'm proud of him, and I only expect better things for him.
Awesome. Thanks, Lamar. And if you don't mind, Lamar, real quick, I know we got the recording. Just former college coach, tell us a little bit where you coached and what you're doing now. If you had to sum it up in a minute and a half, 2 minutes, ready, set, go.
Well, I'm going to say, look, I was 16 years in the business. I was a high school coach for 6 years. 16 years as an assistant coach from Central Connecticut to Brown University, American University, Old Dominion, Hofstra University. And after 16 years, I just decided it was time for me to make a decision for myself. I've always wanted to be a scout in the NBA. I was fortunate to do that this past year. So with the pandemic, man, I'm still doing that, something I love to do. And then this just took on a life of itself, being on these Zooms for the last 4 months. Actually, I was on Cam Daly's Zoom, and he was talking with I wanted to do a podcast anyway, but I was going in another direction. And then listening and hearing people talk on these Zooms made me realize that a lot of assistant coaches aren't telling their story. A lot of people don't know about them. And then so many young guys talk about they want to get into business, but they have no idea what this business is about. They think it's just the shiny suits on TV. They think that's coaching. And so from that Zoom that day with a lot of questions being asked, I realized two things. People love to talk and people love to listen. And so that's why I created Unmasked for college coaches to come on who should be college coaches and haven't had a chance, or coaches who were former assistants to head coaches back to college assistant coaches. Why aren't they still head coaches? And so that's why I created Unmasked. It's jumped off way more than I thought it would. Like I said, I've interviewed 80 guys, 24 have been put out, former head coach, guys who've been in the business for 30 plus years, to even some young guys who've been in the business for 4 or 5. So that's what Unmasked is about. And I'm going to continue doing this because a lot of people want to keep hearing these. Every story is different. So that's why I continue to do this.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Coach. Much respect for you, man. And I have known you in my career, not as long as Akeem has, but you've always been great to me, even when I was a young fella and you didn't have to be. And so tell us this real quick. Where can people find, if they want to find out more or follow Unmasked or listen to some of the interviews?
Yeah, Unmasked is on my YouTube channel. It's Unmasked, the Untold Stories of College Basketball Coaches. So it's on the YouTube channel. It comes out every 3 days at 9 a.m. Like one just came out with Bruiser Flint. So it's fortunate that he went to Kentucky. I texted him the day before, like the day that Kenny Payne came out and announced he had the job. I said, this would happen the day that the day before your interview comes out, and he's headed to Kentucky. And I didn't mention anything about Kentucky or Indiana, but you can go to, like I said, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is Unmasked, the Untold Stories of College Basketball Coaches, and you can find all 24 on that. And I would say these young guys, you definitely need to watch it if you plan on coming in this business and staying in this business.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Coach, thanks again for that. But if you can just type it in the chat, that would be great.
I'll definitely do that.
Yeah, that way people can just know how to follow.
And Brian, you've been a guy, man, it's funny because I recruited Texas pretty hard, and that's why I know I met you. And we probably was at every a ton of events in Texas. So you've always been I want to say, congrats to you. I mean, for doing this, having this platform for these guys, man. And I think it's something that's great that you're doing. And so I got to give you your flowers while you're here as well, because you have done a tremendous job. And I followed it. And it was great when you reached out the other day just to say hello. You know, we hadn't talked in a while, and so that was a plus, man. But I definitely want to tell you that. So
no, I appreciate it. Appreciate it greatly. Definitely been a blessing, and been in a lot of gyms, seeing you steal some Texas guys, man. So yeah, Akeem, great job today, man. You know, one of my favorite dudes in the business that I've gotten to know even more over this pandemic, and just super high quality. Obviously, the accolades and the attention and the way that you climb through the business is not the way that most people think it goes. You know, you're not a former Division I player that kind of got to step in and had a name. You've made a name for yourself, and I can relate a lot to that. And just love the servant-mindedness, man. I love the fact that you, you know, you continue to just make it about where you are. I love what you said many times about running your own race and not worrying about people next to you, because that's one of the hardest things we all challenge with, whatever level we're at. You know what I mean? So credit to you, man, and just excited to see what you continue to do. I know you're going to continue to do big things, and the fact that you're so dedicated to work at being a father and being a great coach, credit to you on that, and being a husband, because people forget about that part. They just think about the father part. It's like, nah, the real boss is right here. So credit to you on that, man. So anything else you want to share, feel free, man. We'll close it out with you, and thanks so much again.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody coming on this. Brian, I really appreciate you. I appreciate all the words that some of my closest friends and guys that I respect in this business. I appreciate you guys saying that. But, man, keep doing your thing, Brian. This is great for all of us coaches. Lamar, keep doing your thing with your platform. I mean, this has kind of been a blessing in disguise. I know we're going through a tough time with everything that's going on, but as far as networking, meeting new people, you know, getting better as coaches, this is a great time in that aspect. But I appreciate everyone that came on. I appreciate this platform, Brian. I'm praying for you, brother. And thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And Coach put his stuff in the chat as well. So if you want to get his contacts, you can stay in touch. And then, yeah, stay safe. Everybody out there, be great and be grateful, man. And we'll be back next week, Tuesday and Thursday, same time, with some different guests, and just continue to make impact on the young people and love on your families, and be safe.
Thanks, Brian.
You. Yep.